Hello. How are you guys doing today? Oh my gosh. I'm always excited for these. These are like a fun, I don't know, I get to like see or like talk to people because most of the time I spend is just like isolated in the house. And so this is kind of like my socializing hour for the month. Let's see. Can you guys hear and see me okay? Double check on that. Hello from Montreal. Hello. Is it Gabby? Hello. Hello from Houston. Hello. Gonzalo, hi. Oh my gosh, let's see. Tanya is in Coventry. Ooh, Coventry, England. I want to go there. I think my mom and I have talked about maybe doing like a um, Ireland, Scotland, and then like the English countryside. Oh, Poof is here. And if he's not the center of the show, he likes to take off. Okay, that's probably the last we'll see Poof. Let's see. Hello from Minnesota. Oh, Minneapolis. Michelle, hi. Okay. Cassie, hi. And Tammy from Michigan. Hello. Okay. Oh, Dave, thank you so much. Dave says I look nice. I I have looked like a goblin for the last month. So this is very I was like, I'm getting fully glitzed up because I'm trying to think. I don't mind sharing what I've been doing with this, with what I'm doing. Maybe I mentioned it already. So let's see. Technically, I finished the guest room at the very end of last month, but that was just like the paint. Not even the floor was done, I don't think, but the walls were done. And then I was like, well, I just have to stain the floor and then um, throw a bed in there and some furniture, and it's going to be finished and it's going to be incredible. And then I was like, oh no, I need to do this with the bed, and then I need to do this with the vanity, and then I need to do lampshades. And so I wasn't ready. And I mentioned, oh, wait, hold on. Let's see. Emily, thank you so much. Oh my gosh. It's a fun, as she's saying she likes the house. I love, this is a fun looking house. Okay. You look like you're ready for a fancy 50s dinner party. I feel like it. So I needed like, some of this is going to be a repeat. You'll hear some of it again in the episode that is coming out. But I needed to create like a really incredible looking bed for the room. And they don't, it's not like they sell those. You can't like, I don't even know how much you'd have to spend to like have somebody custom make something. And I don't, I mean, gosh, you guys know how slow I am. If I wanted to make a bed from scratch, it would take. So, um, what I did was I went on like Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace and I got two separate beds and then I've melded them together. And so, but one of the things that I had to do on one of them was strip off all of the stain and varnish. And I have spent, I don't even know how long that took. It took forever. It eventually ended, which was amazing, but it just took an eternity. I thought I was going to die. So I finally got that done. So let me think. Let me try to break down everything that I have to do before the episode is finished or before the room is finished. So we're going to have a lampshade episode. And these are going to go, let me think. It is my goal. It may be later. I'm not going to say anymore like it's coming out this time because I've been doing that and then it never works out. So I think so you're going to get like a bed frame episode. Next month I'm doing the drapes, like the draperies on it. And then hopefully I'll be able to do the reveal at the end of next month, but don't hold me to that. It might it might take me longer. Um, and then we're also going, then later, once the episode is out, you've seen the room. In the following months, you're going to get episodes for how I did this vanity, which I had a little help doing this vanity, and I can't wait for you to see what it's going to look like. So that's going to be an episode. We've also got an episode for these lampshades that are going to be incredibly beautiful, which, by the way, when I went to the garment district, I don't know if you guys follow Ace of Shades. Her name is Ivy on Instagram, but I love her, and I actually commissioned a couple lampshades from her that are in the works, and I bumped into her in the garment district. So that was kind of a fun little thing. So I did go to the New York City Garment District. We can talk all about that too, because I've got a ton to say, but I need to pour some tea first. So, okay. I think I'm going to do this right. I think from all of the comments I've seen, if you didn't have fancy china, you poured the milk in first, and then you poured the tea in, and that was to protect your like delicate, maybe not terribly expensive china. But if you had really robust, expensive, fancy china, then you could pour the tea in first and the milk after. And I'm basing this off of comments from all of you, and that is the best. That's the best I can do. So let's pour some tea. And I'm really thirsty too, so this is like a good time to do this. Set that down. Poof was being so cute, and then he ran away. Okay. Ace of Shades is amazing. If you guys don't follow her, she just does awesome stuff. Okay. Why isn't the captive pouring it for you? The captive is under the weather. This is so funny. Last month, I had to go to New York, and I'm the one who got sick. And then this month, we had to go to New York again, and he got sick, but it's just like a cold. So I'm giving him some time off. Let's see. Okay, let's see. I hear something different. The milk was first to keep the tea from staining your... I hear so many different things. You know what I think the takeaway is do it however you like. Okay. Sansa says, you have beautiful hands. That is so nice of you to say. I spend a massive amount of time trying to make, when we're filming, like they're a problem. I have bony hands, and if you have veiny, bony hands, like they can either look really elegant in certain lighting, or they can look like something from a nightmare too. So if I like am leaning over like this, they get really horrifying looking. So I'm constantly having to like, we can't use that shot. Okay, let's light this up differently. But thank you. When do we get the Garment District episode? In just a few days. I've joined the Garment District episode into the bed frame episode. So it's kind of like, it's not like a full-blown unbelievable like showing you everything about the Garment District, but it's kind of just, this is my trip, and it was my first time there, which by the way, now it's technically my second time. So I went with the captive on Wednesday, and I was like, you need to film like stuff, like you can just do it on your phone, I don't care. And he gets kind of overwhelmed. And I mean, I do too, like when you're out in sort of like a foreign environment. And so I was just on a mission to get all the things that I needed. And I wasn't paying attention to whether or not we were getting footage, and I wasn't shooting footage. And so as we were leaving, I was like, oh, let me see what we have. And we didn't have anything. We had like a couple like cool shots. And he did some really cool stuff, but I don't think it was enough to sort of flesh it out. And so we got home, and I started looking at what I had, and I realized I didn't get like a satin lining for the upholstery on this canopy bed. And I needed like 40 yards. So you can't get 40 yards of fabric around here. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to bite the bullet, and I'm just going to drive back by myself. I'll stay overnight, and I'll just go there in the morning. And the reason this was so wonderful is because spending just a few hours there with the captive kind of behind me and seeing it for the first time, I missed a ton of really great shops to go into. And so my takeaway was, oh wait, let's see. Leslie said, did you drive to New York or take the train? I am terrified of public transportation. I'm a control freak is what I am. And so the idea of like being trapped in a place where like people can stare at you or something like causes me anxiety. So I prefer to drive in a car where no one can see me, and I get to sort of like duck in and out. So anyway, I drove back to the garment district. So my first takeaway from just that one day was that I was like, they don't seem to have a ton. Turned out I missed everything. They have everything. There's a couple things. So do you guys want to talk comparison between New York Garment District and Los Angeles Garment District? I talk a little bit about it in this coming episode, but I don't mind saying anything about it again. You need to insure your hands. I don't know about that. If I cut off a hand, I'm pretty sure I'd still be able to figure something out with a stump. That's my thought. Oh, wait, I see Paige in here. Hold on, we have to say something. Paige, hi. So we had 4 winners of that contest that we did in December. In the last live stream, I showed you everything that went into those baskets. I didn't actually show you everything. There was a few more surprises. We got those shipped out. Paige is in Germany, and hers isn't quite to her, but it is to her. She has another address that it went to. But all 4 recipients did receive their packages. And I'll be showing that in a coming episode, exactly what was in them. And it came out really nice. Hi, hello. Okay, what was I talking about? The differences between the New York Garment District and the Los Angeles one. So the biggest one is price. My mom and I used to go to the LA Garment District constantly and you would just get steals. You couldn't come anywhere near those prices like at Joann Fabric or something like that. And so you can get tons and tons and tons. It's also a giant mess. And you feel like you're gonna die under a bunch of bolts of fabric. But and they have tons. So it's amazing. You get a steal and they have a lot of stuff and they have better tassels. So if you need tassels for tie backs for drapes, they have a way better selection. Then if you go to New York, the prices are unlike anything I've ever seen. Are unlike anything I've ever seen before. And they have more than I've ever seen before. And the caliber of what they have is beyond anything I'd ever actually seen in person before. So it's kind of like a crapshoot. Do you want to save money or get the most insanely awesome thing you've ever seen? So that was the big difference. And New York is so organized. The customer service is incredible. And just like I said, they're so different from one another. And both are wonderful. I would easily go to both, but I think I might be in love with the New York one more, just because the B&J fabric store was the one that I couldn't believe how cool it was and how nice everyone was. I know people say things about New Yorkers being abrupt or sometimes rude, and I don't see that. That's one thing that I would say. I feel like they're nice. Not that you can't come across someone crappy, but you can do that anywhere. You can do that at Dunkin' Donuts. Would you ever do a hair tutorial? Would you guys like to see a hair tutorial? Because I've got some thinking that I've been doing. And when this room is done, like I said, you're going to have a few months of episodes that are coming. You'll get to see what the room looks like, but then you're going to get a couple months of getting to see everything that went into the individual pieces. And after that, so in the summer, I think, I'm thinking of doing a couple hair tutorials. And I need a few because I've got to cover color, hair extensions, updos, whatever this is, a few different things. So if you guys don't mind seeing them broken up into multiple episodes, because there's a lot to cover. And it's one of the only things that I'm actually licensed to do is hair. And it's one of the few things that I can say with pretty good authority that I feel like I'm really good at. Everything else, I'm just kind of winging it and and seeing how it works out. But I feel good about a hair episode. Does your mom love your new house? And does she like your style? Okay. I think she loves the house. And she should like the style because it's her style. I stole it from her. She That's kind of the it's really weird. If I could have a child that was going to like all of the things that I liked, then I would have a child, but you don't get that guarantee. And so many kids can't stand what their parents like. And once in a while, you end up with like a little weird clone of yourself that has some like, idiosyncrasies. That's it. So I'm very, very similar to her, but then also just kind of weird. So I think she likes the style. She's not as into scary stuff. She does like some of it, but not as much as I do. Let's see. Did the mountain house survive the snow? I don't know if you guys know this, but the southern San Bernardino mountains got like pummeled with like the most insane storm. The grocery store I used to go to collapsed. There was like, I don't know, 7 feet of heavy weighed snow on a lot of the buildings. People couldn't leave their houses for 10 days. It was wild. So I think the house is okay. I think. Did you manage to install that faucet you bought in California? Rebecca, I have not done the kitchen yet. So ask me again when I get there. I'm very slow. Are you working on your kitchen? I've got other fish to fry first. I've got to get the front of the house done. I've got to get the roof figured out, which the roof has just been like this big like odyssey. But the kitchen is going to be something so special. I'm so excited about it. Ooh, I have so much to talk about, by the way. I hope you guys don't mind if I'm any more ghost encounters. There was something, and I can't think of what it was now. It's completely escaped me. Would you ever do any more baking episodes? Totally. I love baking. It's so incredibly fun. But I also just sort of like, I go with what like is thrilling me at the moment. And if it's really exciting for me, it's usually going to be exciting for you guys. So that's what I do. Okay, what is the Halloween decor you are working on? I'm not talking about it. I'm not saying anything because last year I thought I was going to be able to do something that I didn't have time for. I have big plans and we'll see how it works out. Let's see. Have you seen Shining Vale? I have not. Is that a movie or a show? Well, you just got a new kitty. Okay, so Sneaky asked, I just got a new kitty. Any tips for introducing them to my other cats? I'm not a veterinarian, so I usually just like, we have like little supervised visits when you bring someone new into the house and you see how it goes. And I usually sleep with them like separately from the other pets, like the first couple nights, just to kind of like get them comfortable with me. And then they usually, I mean, all cats they're like people. It's kind of unpredictable. So yeah, I don't know. That's just what I think. You might want to ask a professional though. I just watched, oh my God. I just watched this thing about pit bulls and how scary they can be. Google it. It's like, I didn't know that. They're kind of a slightly dangerous breed to have. I didn't know that. I thought they just like had a bad reputation. And obviously there's perfectly lovely ones. But I didn't know if you like look up the statistics of like attacks. I don't know why I'm talking about that, but it was like eye-opening. What type of tea are you drinking? My very favorite. It's the TWG vanilla bourbon, and it is decaf. And if I really kind of avoid caffeine if I can. Not for any like bizarre reason. It makes me jittery. And can you guys hear the, let's see. I'm trying to think. I have an American bully and he's the sweetest thing. That's the strange thing is like, you never know if you're going to have a pet that could end up being, I mean, I don't know. Or I shouldn't even talk about this. I don't even know what I'm talking about. I've just like watched things on the internet like everybody. Oh, let's see. Okay, let me think. I always have to make a list. One thing I can tell you. Do you guys want to hear something funny? it turns out this house is perfect for hide and go seek. Um, when we got back from New York, I don't know what started it. Oh, I know. I heard the captive looking for me in the house, and I like to play games. And so I like hid, and he couldn't find me. And I have to do things like turn my phone off so that he can't do like a find my phone thing. And I was doing really, really good. And then finally, like when I could tell he was like in a far distant part of the house, I like snuck out of my hiding spot and then went back to just like working on this bed frame. And so finally he came in and like he'd been looking for me for like half an hour. I'm also terrible. Like I'm a little bit of a sadist. I like to, I like to toy with him specifically. And he laughed. He was like, I know you were hiding. And then we started talking about like, this house would be good for hide and seek. Why don't we ever do that? And it was like, well, why don't we just stop what we're doing right now and play hide and seek? And we played 4 games of hide and seek. And it turns out he's way better at it than I am. He found a hiding spot. I could have been searching until I was 98 and never would have found him. So, and it turns out I'm not that good at it because he found me. Well, one of the times I was hiding under a couch and like I only got found out because the dog knew I was under there. It was really fun though. I would strongly suggest playing hide and go seek with your adult friends or spouses. It's really neat. And you're never too old to do weird, fun stuff. Hide in the basement. That was okay. So those were the rules. The rules were you can't go outside, you can't go into the attic, and you can't go into the basement. And even with those rules, there's still like a bazillion places to hide. Okay, hide and seek is also a wonderful horror movie, James. I completely agree. James, by the way, are you doing any more wrapping paper? James did an incredible line of wrapping paper for Target this last year, and I'm hoping he's doing more because I loved that paper. Let's see, you have 22 rooms to hide in. I haven't counted them in a while, but there's a lot. And like there's some places, that's kind of the funny thing about playing hide and go seek. You don't really fit into some of the places that you did when you were little, and so you're like, there was one spot I was like, okay, my behind is not going to go. It's not going to fit in here. And I got sad, and then I just went and hid behind a couch. Okay, what else? Oh, let me look at my list. Should we talk about books? I've listened to a couple books this month. There was one, I'm trying to think. Do you have a favorite fragrance? I mix those two words together. I love this one. It's called Mona Lisa Smile. I had it in that, I think everyone got it in that gift basket. And I can't think of Jardin. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing it. Okay, let's see. My mom just texted me and she said, "You look fantastic and your hair is to die for." Thank you, Mom. She went and saw a show last night. And so we were just, I didn't even write this down and I should talk about it. My mom has started recording our phone calls, and I think I don't remember whose idea it was, but I think once the idea had been brought up, I was like, we should do that and I think you should do that. I think you should do that with anybody that you really care about and you talk to a lot. Because, one day it's very likely that one of you isn't going to be there. And I'm big on like preparing yourself for the things that life throws at you. And to be able to have certain things, so you're not losing everything. I mean, you kind of are if you lose somebody that you care about. But I just think it's a really, really great idea is to record. So we do voice recordings, and then when she comes out here to stay in the guest room, we're gonna like set up a camera and do like a whole, like we're gonna record her on camera talking about her childhood and all sorts of other things. because she's still, young and beautiful, and I want to hear all of those stories and like keep them. And then obviously years and years and years from now, like my great nieces how cool would that be to like watch your great great grandmother tell a story about her childhood, and it's like a clear video. I just think that's neat. So I strongly suggest you do that. Let's see. Oh my gosh, Lindsay said I recorded all of my visits with my dad before he passed on hospice in last May. Oh, I'm so sorry you just lost him. And it helps so much. That's what I was thinking. So yes, do this. I just think it's a great idea. There's nothing wrong with recording incredible moments. Okay. Let's see. Your work requires physical strength and it's rough on your body. Do you have any massages or physical therapy? I'm ticklish, and so I can't have people touching me. And in addition to that, I'm a recluse. So I keep thinking I want to have a housekeeper, and then I'm just like, but then if there's like a housekeeper around, like what if I have to pick my nose or something? Like, I don't know. I think I've said this before, that my spirit animal would be like a rabid chipmunk, or like just one that was like running around panicked all over the place. That's my baseline, I think. Are you going to do any fun creepy crafts again that us average people can afford? Of course. There's always like a mix. That's what I do. Like so the tarantula spiders we did, that's as cheap as a project can be pretty much. So it's just a mix of all of those things. And then I like to tackle, there's some projects that I consider inspirational and some that are aspirational. And what I did to the walls in this guest room falls under aspirational, meaning no one should do it. It's a bonkers thing to do, what I did, but it looks really cool. Speaking of which, do you guys want to talk about wallpaper? I had a conference call with the printer, and so there's a couple exciting things. The mermaid wallpaper for the front sitting room, they're in the process of getting like a first draft done for me, so I'm going to get to see that soon. So that's happening, and as soon as that's perfected and it's right, it's going to go on sale, so you guys will be able to get it. I'm going to be putting it up in that room, and it's going to be awesome. And then the owl paper is also getting done. So you get to choose, like if you have multiple rooms. So these are going to be the first two that I do, but I would ultimately like to have like a lot of different wallpapers that people could choose from, because I like different things in different rooms. Let's see. Annie, take my money. They're going to be really good. I did find a printer that does very high caliber stuff, so it's going to be like a very high quality good paper with like metallic accents and all sorts of cool things going on. Let's see what company. It's called York Wall Coverings, and they're based out of Pennsylvania, and I think it's one of the oldest manufacturers that is still in business. Will they be self-adhesive? I haven't gotten to that part yet. So that's up in the air at the moment. Right now, we're just trying to get them printed and see what they look like. Let's see. Can they be used as rental friendly? I'm not sure about that. Well, technically, I think you can always put up wallpaper and then steam it off should you need to. Have you started the kitchen yet? No, not yet. But we've got tons of other fun things going on. I do have the kitchen mentally kind of done in my head, though. It's just a matter, I think I've talked about this, I'm going to build like a 3D model before I find a contractor, and then I'm going to find a contractor and be like, this is what I want. So there's no guesswork. There's no like, well, I thought you wanted this. No, it's going to be like the model's right there. You can see all of it. The lampshade episode is my favorite. So the next lampshade episode that's coming out that has to do with the lampshades in this room, gosh, I have exciting things to tell you about that. Let me think. It's going to be a way easier one than I did last year, where like a hand stitched everything. This is going to be more like, this is how professionals do it. Like how to do it, kind of like punch it out a lot faster, which I think is really helpful to know. And then the most exciting thing that is coming in that episode is I found a woman who's been doing lampshades for like 40 years. She has a business and she has a welder. So she has a catalog that she will send you. You can pick out all of the lampshade frames that you want, and she has a welder that will make them. And it takes a few weeks, and then she ships them to you. And the frames are incredible. Like, you can't buy these anywhere. And if you were to even find one of these shades out on the market, eBay, Etsy, something like that, they would be like $300. And her, like the frames that she does go for like, I think like $45. So I'm going to be including all of that information in that episode. And you guys, I've like warned her. I was like, are you okay with me putting like your information out there with this? And she's like, I'd love to. So I hope you guys make her sorry she said that. Let's see. Oh, let me get another sip. What is that picture by the gramophone? Is there a picture by the gramophone? That's a good question. It might just be the wall and like a plant. Let's see. Thank you for all the wonderful projects you are creating. Thank you so much, Sansa. Is it I always try to pronounce something with like a little flair so I don't sound like, I don't know. But I usually do it like wrong, I think. So, oh, let's see. Have you killed anything lately? I don't think so. I hope not. A few people, but I don't think they count. Okay, let's see. Let me go through my list because we have lots to talk about. Okay. Should we talk about books? Because there's a really, I'm concerned to call it, it's an interesting book. It's The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. And I wanted to know, because I had listened to or I'd watched Schindler's List and I had read The Diary of Anne Frank. And it leaves you kind of feeling like, how did this all come about? Like, what was everything that led up to it? And there is one really kind of great book that covers everything. The only drawback to this book is it was written in like the 40s or 50s. And there is, I actually started it months ago. There's like a lot of like homophobic stuff happening in the beginning of the book. And I started listening to it maybe like 6 months ago. And it bothered me so much. I like stopped. And then I read like The Diary of Anne Frank. And then I was like, The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. And so anyway, so I decided, let me just power through it. And it is amazingly informative. It's like 57 hours long to listen to. So it was brutal, but oh my God, my husband listened to that book. I called my dad. I was like, have you read this book? He's like, of course, everyone's read that book who's like an aficionado of World War II. My grandpa fought in World War II. And so it was just something interesting. And I wanted to know like what led up to that. So, and it answered all of those questions. And it turns out you think Hitler's a bad person, and he's so much worse than you realize. There's so many, he's horrible in every way a person can be horrible. Like, aside from deciding to kill an entire innocent group of people, he also was just like a liar and I can't say enough bad things about him. He was just maybe the worst person I've ever read about, which I'm sure is a shock to all of you. Okay, and then the next book is so much lighter and good. There is a book called Somewhere in Time, and it's based on the movie. The movie is based on this book, and the book is kind of better than the movie. So I would get into that. If you like the Christopher Reeve, Jane Seymour movie, at the Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island. The book actually takes place at the Hotel del Coronado in San Diego. And there's elements of it that are actually better than the movie. And then there's some things that the movie did better. But it's totally worth listening to or reading. I remember the movie. It's one of my favorite movies. There's something in it. So in the movie, to travel back in time, he has to surround himself in an environment that immerses him in that time, and there isn't modern things around. And I actually suspect that scene somehow triggered what I like about everything being vintage and hiding the things that are modern. Because that is something I think about. Like, if you don't want anything in a room past a certain date. I just think it's neat. I remember that movie, such a good actor. It's a fantastic movie. Let's see. So I've told you about the wallpaper. Do you guys have any questions? If you don't mind, I'm going to pour myself a little bit more tea. And I think it's cooled down so much now. I don't think I need to do too much. Do you keep a list with all of your ideas? No, I should, but I don't. They're just like scrambled eggs in my head. And whenever I need something, I just reach into that bag and pull out whatever I can. And there's always something. Would you ever do another book? I would love to do another book. My mom and I were just talking about this. I don't know when I'd have time to do that, but I do have plans at some point to do that. Let's see. Can someone tell me about the wallpaper? Wallpaper is paper that you put glue on the back of and you adhere to your wall. I'm joking. I'm just being silly. What do you think about AI taking over the art world? Let me think. I don't know enough about it to really have like an educated opinion. I think people don't do that enough. If you don't know enough about something, maybe don't. What do I think? I don't think I have an educated, it seems bad, but also I don't know how like technology can be stopped. So I don't think it's good, but at the same time, technology kind of comes and like eats up everything. So I think there will always be a world for artists, and that's kind of my opinion. Like I said, I haven't invested enough time to like give an impassioned opinion, but yeah. Did your house have any major issues when you bought it? Not really. Let's see. The biggest issue is the roof needs to be redone, and even it's not like water's pouring in when it rains. And there was no air conditioner. There had never been. So that was, to me, that was a big issue. But other than that, it was kind of one of the selling points, because when we were looking for houses, some of the houses we looked at were, almost gutted, like really, really in rough shape. And I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad I didn't do that, because I feel like my talents are better spent on refining things, and building cool accent like furniture things, but like actually like doing brutal labor to like restore a place physically, I feel like is a waste of what I'm good at. So that's my 2 cents. Was your wedding dress black? No, I had like a 1940s themed wedding. And it was small. I think there was like 40 or 50 people there. Weddings are very important when you're young, and it's sort of like this thing that you've been looking forward to. But then once it passes, you realize there's so many other it's like just the first thing. So I never recommend people spend too much on a wedding, because there's other things you're going to want to spend that money on. Did you have central AC installed? I wish I was smart enough to answer that question. It's not central, it's over there. So it's not in the middle of the house. That's about as much as there's a bunch of pipes that like bring the cold air all over the place. And there's one in the attic and there's one down here. Let's see. Just trying to check these out. Okay, let me look at my little list. I got married in October and I DIY'd everything myself. I think it's such a fun thing to do because it is obviously like a big, exciting event. But it's also, I mean, I've become so picky about things now that when I look back at my own, I'm judging all sorts of things that I did wrong. But if I were to do it again, which I won't, it would be pretty awesome, I think. And I would still do a small one. I don't know. Big weddings just kind of seem intimidating to me. Let's see. What do you tackle first in a new home renovation? That's a good question. When we came to this house, it was cleaning. What happened? So the gentleman that owned this house really kind of hadn't been living here. So it kind of been sitting for like 20 years. He'd been maintaining everything that needed to be maintained so that nothing like terrible happened. But it was definitely like you walked in and there was like mildew, the smell, and like there was some mold in places and dead bats kind of here and there and all over the place. And it was, we spent like a lot of time like scrubbing and cleaning and trying to get it like livable. And so, and yeah, I don't know, it's gone so much slower than any kind of project I've ever tackled before because I've been so enamored with it. I love the house so much, and like I want to like respect every room that I touch, and I don't want to do anything that's just like kind of like just like a crappy like throw something together. I want, like, if I'm doing something, I want it to be something that the next people who own it would think was special and cool. Which, by the way, I don't think, and I don't know about this, I don't think this is going to be my forever home forever. I think we've been talking, and the dream would actually be to have like a house created that like had like the kind of land we were looking for. And I could I really love symmetry, and like I could literally design like a grand Victorian looking house. And the really amazing thing about this house is doing all the wallpapers like I'm doing. It makes it so that when and if we do this, where we have like some incredibly cool house done, I don't have to redo the rooms. I'll have the wallpaper, I'll have the furniture, and I can just move it and recreate it. So basically here is like the art studio where I'm designing and finding what I love. And then I'm just going to be able to take that stuff with me while keeping this looking incredible and having done like a beautiful service to this particular house. Let's see, like the Winchester Mistramp, totally. Like I told the captive, I was like, it's going to have secret passageways, all sorts of cool things that these houses are supposed to have. And so, but we'll see how that works out. It's like my dream. I think you should always have a dream. Before we moved here, this was my dream. So you always want, like, I don't know, something new to look forward to. Does wallpaper greatly enhance a room? I can't tell you what it does. In my opinion, it does so much of the work for you. Like if you have good wallpaper in a room, the furniture, I mean, you want obviously it to be nice, but it's not doing the heavy lifting like it is if the walls are just like white. So I just feel like wallpaper makes you feel like you're enveloped in a room and makes a home feel like really cozy. That's just my opinion. And I've got lots of opinions. I was telling my mom some of my opinions, and she was like, you should tell people that. And I was like, I don't know. And I have had this saying for years that if anyone ever asks you something that's like inappropriate, you are under no obligation to tell them the truth. And you are feel free to lie through your teeth. And I just like, It wasn't, they're the ones who broke social protocol by asking you something sort of inappropriate. So, my strongest suggestion, if someone does that, is embellish, come up with a preposterous story if you can, and that's on them. So, that's just like an opinion. Let's see if I have any other opinions. Nope, that was it. Where would you move if you decided to build a house? I kind of like Virginia. Like we were kind of looking something coastal. And I love the East Coast just because I like it's so green and it's so beautiful. And all of the kinds of things that I'm really drawn to, there's tons of it here. So that's just kind of my thinking. And I have this plan to go back to California and visit to work on like the kitchen floor in the old mountain house. But this room is just dragging on and on and on. But when it's done, I still plan on doing that. How do you keep your house clean with all of your pets? It's all we do. Like, it sounds terrible, but we have like different tasks that we handle. And it's like every day you have to be doing something to like minimize it. And even then, I'm sure if somebody came here with like a magnifying glass, it'd be like, you guys look, or don't ever come here with like a white glove. I'm in big trouble if someone does that. South Carolina. I'm like stroking out right now. Have you ever been to the Smoky Mountains? I love the Smoky Mountains. My dad and I just moved there. It is spectacularly beautiful. So I think those are incredible. I love Asheville, North Carolina. It's pretty pricey, but it's also very, very pretty. How many rooms do you actually use? Probably like 3. Like, really 3. Those are the ones we spend all of our time in. When is the closet episode? I don't know. It's going to happen though. I have like a whole dressing room that it's also like a dressing room / laundry room, but I've done something kind of really fun in there. And so I will be making an episode of like showing how I've done that and then also kind of like upping it even more. Let's see. Would you be keeping ownership of the house if you move? I would say most likely, because it would kind of depend. There's a couple things. If I were to ever sell the house, there would be like a process of like making sure you were finding somebody that was gonna feel about it how we feel, because you couldn't have somebody come in and think that they were gonna like tear things out or paint the walls all white or modern. My God. My nightmare is somebody coming in here and like painting the woodwork. If that happens when I die, I will just roll over in my grave. So I do feel like a lot of like responsibility for this house. And so I don't have any immediate plans to like sell it or anything like that, even after we find this other place or have some other place built. And that could be like 10 or 15 years away. I don't even know. I've still got so much work to do here. Another Airbnb, I don't think I could do that, and I have a reason. I think it's stressful. The problem is with Airbnb is, and I'm so, by the way, glad that my old house has been turned into that, because she really puts in a ton of work and it looks beautiful and it's just spectacular. So I'm massively grateful for that. But I think you're also very likely to end up with a lot of people that are guests that respect it just like you do. And then you can just randomly end up with people that like don't take care of a place that they're staying, and they're rough and they do bad things. And the idea of that happening here gives me a heart attack. So I don't think this house should ever be an Airbnb. It's just my thought. There's too many incredible things like the chandeliers and the light fixtures that are being brought into the house while I'm here that are obviously staying with the house. Could you show a more in-depth version of the board game you had done for you? Absolutely. I think, let's see, do I have that? I will be doing that. So yes, that is going to be happening. Did you take your wood owl TV cupboard with you? I absolutely did, and it's going in the guest room that I'm working on. So you will see it in there, and it's going to be, like I said, I mentioned this in the last thing. I've been so, let me think. I've done so many different kinds of projects, and for some reason, this is the one I am the most proud of. It's the most involved. It's like the transformation is just like a slap in the face. Like it is so dramatic from what it was to what it is now and what it's becoming. So I love a really good like makeover and like a before and after. And that's why I haven't been showing you what the room is looking like, because I want it to just blow your mind when you see it. And when you see what's happening in there, you'll get it. It'll have been worth it, because it's gonna be so cool. I don't even know what I mean, I have a million projects planned after, but this is so neat. And it's a guest room. I'm not even gonna sleep in there. My mom is, which I'm happy she's gonna have a pretty room to stay in. Let's see. Will we be able to purchase the board game at some point? I believe those girls are going to be selling it. I told them then. I gave them specific orders to sell it. So I believe they are going to be. But as soon as they tell me, I'll give you guys the link. Don't you wish the guest room was your room now? I love that. You know what I love about it? Anyone who comes to stay here gets to sleep in like a fantasy room. Like it's like a room from the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland, but it's real and everything in it is real. And so I'm actually more excited about that like anyone who gets to stay here gets to have like their socks blown off with how immersive and neat it is. I'd kill somebody to stay in a room like this at somebody else's house. It's a bold thing to say, but they'd have to have it coming. Like it wouldn't be like an innocent person. Let's see. Did you fix the tile and plumbing in that bathroom? No, I'm not touching that bathroom. But the plumbing's working though. You can take baths and things in there. Can you please host a party? I do plan on doing something like that. The captain and I have been talking about some sort of murder mystery thing. I don't know if that's going to be something that we have a small party here for and then film and then make available for everyone to see. I don't know how that's going to work, but it's an idea that is floating out there. Everything is real except for the plants. What do you call that? What do you call that? I'm drawing a blank. It's true. It's true. Everything's going to be a little bit artificial. I do love artifice. Let's see. How do I get my kids to keep their grubby hands off my antiques? Have you tried cutting their hands off? I promise you, their hands won't be doing it again. That, or like you could duct tape their hand. I don't know. This is why I'm not a parent. Like I'd have horrible suggestions. Sometimes I'll be around like my nieces or nephews and I'm like, oh, I'd be an awful parent. Because I'm all for like creating little cages that you can just put them in and like throw some candy in there or something to keep them distracted. I think I've mentioned my parents, like they adopted the sweetest little baby on earth. And I think he's like 6 now. He is so cute. He's my little brother. I call him Brother Bailey, and he calls me Sister Christine. He just lost his front tooth. And she's teaching him things. Like she's being like a real parent, obviously. And I'm just like, I don't know why you care. Like, why don't you just give him all the candy and iPads he wants? And then I was like, you may not even be alive to see the consequences. So those are... I don't know that she likes hearing that, but she's like, no, I have to like do. So she's a very, very good mother. Apparently it just didn't rub off on me. That's all. Shock collars. Oh my gosh, Maddie, I'd be all about it. Electric fences for little kids. This is terrible. Okay, before this devolves anymore and like CPS shows up at my door, I think we're going to wrap this up. I am so appreciative for you guys being patient with this room. It's gonna be so neat, I promise you. And so, like I said, just a couple more days coming up, and we are going to you're gonna have an episode of building like a bed frame that's really awesome. And then even you're gonna see the little trip on our way to the New York Garment District. So take care of yourselves, and I will see you all again very soon.